Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Lampzay back again with another video, and today I'm going to be going over the best English Premier League transfers, even though I am a little bit late to the party because it is game week 3 this weekend. But I've been asked to go ahead and do this video, so just plugging this one in, guys. If you guys have any recommendations for me to do for videos, let me know in the comment section below, or just hit me up on my Instagram and I'll be able to try and do as many different things as possible because I enjoy giving you guys content that you guys want. But nonetheless, let's just jump straight into it. Now, the first one we've got on this list is Harry Maguire. Now, obviously moved from Leicester City over to Manchester United for an absolute crazy price tag of 87 million euros. Now, I know a lot of people have spoken about, Maguire and the direct link with Matthijs de Ligt, who's gone to Juventus, and de Ligt is obviously a little bit more of a higher prospect than Maguire and obviously gone for less of a price tag. But English Premier League teams get shafted, and English players in general get shafted with their prices. Everything is just ridiculous, overpriced, unreal. But in having saying that, Harry Maguire is a huge fit for Manchester United. Obviously, he's not the quickest player out on the pitch, but he has other key qualities that Manchester United have been looking for. So obviously a player that can play out from the back and go for a little bit of a dribble, and then also his physicality is really good as well. But the thing that makes Maguire a really, really good centre-back, considering his pace, is obviously his positioning. His positioning is just top quality. It's definitely one of the best attributes that Maguire has, and fingers crossed for Manchester United's point that, the price tag is going to be worth it in the end. Now, moving over to the other side of Manchester, we've got Rodri, who's moved from Atletico Madrid over to Manchester City for 70 million euros. Now, to be fair, I think the price tag really does fit Rodri. He's an absolute beast of a player. He's a box-to-box kind of player. He can defend, he can attack, he can score, he can pass. Obviously, he does lack a little bit of pace, but to be fair, when you're sitting in the middle of the pitch and your positioning is right, you won't get caught out all too much. But he was a key man for Atletico Madrid last season. Obviously, if you are a FIFA player, we did see him get a Team of the Season card. But overall, Rodri will be an absolute tank for Manchester City this season, and I can see him, being the next sort of Yaya Toure type player for Manchester City. Obviously, probably not the physicality side of things, but Manchester City are also looking for someone to kind of replace David Silva. I know he's not obviously an attacking threat to that level as David Silva, but he's got the qualities going forward and obviously can track back as well. So overall, it's obviously going to take a little bit of time for Rodri to move into the Premier League life because, moving from one big league to another, you've just got to give him time. So if there are any Manchester City supporters listening to this video, just give this man time. Obviously, midfield is a really hard, position to pick through because you can make a lot of mistakes in midfield. So to be fair, if he's only making a couple of mistakes a game for, the first, half of the season, don't worry at all, because if he's not making consistent errors like Bakayoko did in the second half of the Chelsea season, then you don't have anything to worry about. But Rodri is a beast, and I think he'll adapt to Premier League life very, very quickly. Now, moving over to my probably most favourite transfer of the whole window, it is Nicolas Pepe, who's moved from Lille over to Arsenal for 80 million euros. Now, that is a pretty big price tag considering Arsenal said that they weren't even going to spend anywhere near that, and considering they also spent a lot more money on a few other players, which I'll go over very shortly. But Nicolas Pepe is an absolute beast. I definitely think he's worth the price tag because, like I said before, players are so overpriced, especially when you're coming into England, and especially if you are an English player. But Nicolas Pepe scored 22 goals and got 11 assists in League One last season, which was a tremendous effort. If you guys played FIFA, you know how many informs and how amazing that Team of the Season was last season. But in all fairness, guys, I know a lot of people are saying, he is from League One and there's no defense and everything like that. But to be fair, you've got to be in that position to score the goals and get the assists. Like 22 goals and 11 assists, that's unreal. That is 33 contributions. And I genuinely believe if Arsenal can get him going really early on in the season, Arsenal can push for that top 4 spot. But who knows? He's come off the bench a couple of times now, and I think he's, ready to go ahead and start. So we'll definitely find out in the next couple of weeks if he's worth that price tag. Now, moving over to another favourite transfer of mine, and it is Wan-Bissaka, who has moved over from Crystal Palace to Manchester United. Now, we all knew he was going to go for quite a bit of money. He was a huge prospect in the Premier League last season, and I think 55 million euros is an absolute bargain, especially for the contract that he did sign and the type of player he is. And he's got a lot of potential, and to be fair, there aren't too many good left and right backs on the market, and it's just really, really hard to find a wide back who can sort of track back and then go forward as well, and can just in English Premier League now, you need a left and a right back who can help on offense and then be a really, really good defender as well. So I think Wan-Bissaka is definitely going to get better over time, but he's definitely one of the best right backs in the Premier League without a doubt. And, now that he's at Manchester United, he's got a lot of other good players that can cover him as well. So I think Wan-Bissaka is going to be in for an amazing career now that he's moved over to Manchester United. Just hopefully he doesn't get injured or anything like that. Now, speaking of future beasts, Ndombele is a future beast without a shadow of a doubt. Obviously, is a real key part to Spurs, going forward. Now, 60 million euros I think is going to be an absolute bargain. He's just an absolute beast, guys. Like, I know a lot of people are probably going to think the same thing, League One sort of midfielder and could be a Bakayoko 2.0, but genuinely, I can't really see that happening. He's already had an amazing start to Spurs' life and life in England, and if Spurs can get, Eriksen, Dele Alli and Ndombele all on the same pitch together, boy, oh boy, that midfield is lit. And that's not even to mention Celso, who's in there as well, which I'll go over very shortly. But Spurs really want to cement themselves as a powerhouse in Europe. Obviously, want to probably contend for the Premier League. But, one season you just can't really mark them off that. With your Barcelona, with your Liverpool, with your Manchester City, those teams do well every single year, and Spurs want to keep up with that. And they've signed Ndombele for a reason, and I can really see Ndombele's price tag going up to roughly around 80 to 100 million by the end of the season, as long as he obviously stays fit and plays really well. So Spurs have got an amazing player in Ndombele, and I'm really keen to see what he brings to the English Premier League this season. Now, a team who obviously struggles to try and cement themselves as, a top 8 team in the Premier League, it is West Ham. But to be fair, Pablo Fornals is a really, really good signing. It's really good to see West Ham try and make some more decent signings to try and bulk up their team. But West Ham obviously haven't started too well. But Fornals, if he can get going, his dribbling and his passing is so key. And as long as he can, link up with Haller, who I'll also go over in a minute, and also Felipe Anderson, Chicharito, I think he'll be a real key player in the midfield for West Ham, because I feel like that's where they sort of drop off a bit. Their front line is really good, but then you don't have that, defensive cover, going back, and, the defense isn't that great either. But I think Fornals can really play a huge part to West Ham scoring goals this season. Now to another big signing in the whole scheme of Europe. It is Joao Cancelo, who's moved over to Manchester City from Juventus for 65 million euros, with Danilo also going the other way to obviously help that price tag. Now, Joao Cancelo had an amazing season. He's clearly one of the best right backs in the world. Probably was maybe the second best right back in the whole world last season, next to Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he's definitely got the potential to be the best as well. But I really don't know what Pep's got up his sleeve this season, because you've already got Kyle Walker playing right back. He could be moved into the centres, but Joao Cancelo is a versatility sort of kind of player. Can play as a right midfielder, can play as a right winger, can play as a wing back. I don't know if he can play on the left side, but I'm sure he can, because he's just so versatile. But this boy has got a lot to offer for Manchester City. I'm surprised he hasn't started yet, maybe because he's not fit, but I'm really keen to see what Joao Cancelo brings to that Manchester City side. And unfortunately, I've had to take him out of fantasy already, because I just don't know what Pep's got planned for him. But in having saying that, Joao Cancelo, what a beast, and I'm really keen to see what Manchester City does with him this season. Now, moving over to Moise Kean here, who's moved from Juventus as well. Moved to Everton for 28 million euros, and this boy's got obviously a lot of prospect to his name. Obviously didn't play a lot of football for Juventus, but when he did shine. He did score 6 goals and got 1 assist in 13 games, where I think most of those games he did come off the bench. And what I have seen of Moise Kean, he's definitely a young talent for the future, and 28 million, you can't really go wrong, especially in this market. But I just really do hope Moise Kean does shine at Everton. Everton have been looking for a beast striker since Lukaku left. I know Calvert-Lewin is there, but I really don't see him being, the number 1 striker all the time. He can't even really score a goal. Richarlison can pop in for goals all the time, but for some reason they don't play him as striker all the time. But obviously they've brought Kean in to, score goals, and I really hope he does score at least 10-15 goals this season. Now, speaking of strikers, Sebastian Haller has moved from Frankfurt over to West Ham for 40 million euros. Haller is an absolute beast. Scored 20 goals and 12 assists in the Bundesliga and the Europa League last season. And boy, oh boy, is this guy an absolute scary monster up front. I remember watching him in the semi-final of the Europa League against Chelsea, and he came off the bench, and I was legitimately scared because he's just got that presence. He reminds me a little bit of Diego Costa, probably not as quick, but boy, he's really good with his feet and he's really good in the air. He's got a really good physical presence to him. So if West Ham can play the right way to Haller, I think they've got a 20-goal plus striker a season on their hands. But West Ham obviously haven't started great this season, but obviously it is a very, very long season, so I really do hope that Sebastian Haller does score a lot of goals this season. Staying with the theme of strikers, we've got Joelinton, who's moved from Hoffenheim over to Newcastle for 44 million euros, which was absolutely crazy news when I first saw it. And the man, I don't even think can speak English, but he's really, really excited to be in the Premier League. Obviously, he's had a really slow start to the season, and Newcastle are playing bad football, man. They are playing bad football. I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought Newcastle were going to do really, really well this season, but like I've said before, it's a long season, but he only scored 7 goals and 7 assists in 28 games last season, Joelinton, so it is a little bit shaky, a little bit worrying in that factor, but we all know he's got potential. He's still a really, really young player, but Newcastle's got to start playing some good football, because if they're not going to play good football, then Joelinton's not going to score, and Newcastle are going to struggle really, really hard, because that's what they've struggled with for the last couple of seasons, scoring goals. They can't find that main man to hit the back of the net. So hopefully it is Joelinton to find the back of the net quite a few times this season, but the rate that they're going, boy oh boy, it's going to be a long season for Newcastle. Now moving over to Ayoze Perez, and boy oh boy, 33 million for this boy is beyond me. Like, he's a decent striker, don't get me wrong, but for that price tag, that's just bloody unreal. Obviously moving from Newcastle to Leicester, Leicester do need another main striker up top with old mate Jamie Vardy and Maddison playing behind, or on the wing now by the looks of it. But 33 million for Ayoze Perez, which is crazy money in my eyes. Obviously I'm not a market guru here, and I don't put price tags on players, but I really feel like Ayoze Perez is not worth that kind of money. You could probably buy a striker for roughly around 20 million, someone like Diego Costa, who's proven and is a little bit older, but you can get goals out of him, and you're not taking the gamble on whether Ayoze Perez is going to score goals or not. Like, he can find the net, but I don't think he's going to find the net 15 times, 20 times in a season, so it'd be really interesting to see. But I'm not a market valuator. I don't evaluate players on their performances or anything like that. I'm sure there are guys that are getting paid millions and millions of dollars to value players, but to be fair, Ayoze Perez, 33 million. Leicester, if he does well, then I guess in having saying that, it's good business. Now moving over to another Spurs midfielder that's come into the mix, which is bloody crazy. It is Celso, and boy oh boy has this guy got a lot of talent as well. Obviously he is only on loan, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets bought out. I think it's roughly at around 50 million, I think 50 to 60 million euros, but we all know the boy's got a lot of talent, and I'm really keen to see what Pochettino scavenges up, because he's got a lot of midfield options now. It's probably a good problem to have, but he's a genius, guys. Poch is an absolute beast. He'll know what to do with his players, and I'm really keen to see what Lo Celso brings to Spurs this season. Now, a lot of Arsenal fans, if you are watching this video, you've probably been thinking to yourself, oh my god, he hasn't spoken about any of the other players that Arsenal have signed, but I thought I'll just wait till a little bit later on in the video and put the other three all together. Now, obviously you got Kieran Tierney, you got Dani Ceballos and David Luiz all moving to Arsenal. I think Kieran Tierney is probably the best signing out of the three, obviously because he signed on a permanent deal for 27 million. I just think he's just an absolute beast at left back. He's won pretty much everything he can at Celtic, and has got obviously a big future about him because he's so young. And having saying that, David Luiz is a little bit past it. I feel like if he doesn't have his concentration there, he's going to slip up a lot. And I don't think Arsenal are really ready for that. He did frustrate a lot of Chelsea supporters last season, but his leadership will be key, and his playing out from the back is going to be awesome for Emery's game, because I know Emery loves to play out from the back with his defenders and all that kind of jazz. So David Luiz is a good fit there, but just hopingly enough for Arsenal fans that he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, because he does go to sleep a lot. And Dani Ceballos is an absolute beast. Like, I would say he would be the best signing for Arsenal, but he's really only on loan. And I read an article the other day that he's pretty much using Arsenal for, work experience, work placement. He's only using your club to get back at Real Madrid and to play good football there. But in having saying that, Real Madrid might not like the type of player he is and might not want him anymore after his season at Arsenal. If he has a good one, whether he has a bad one, I don't know. But he started really, really well. And Ceballos might like, his time in England, and Arsenal might offer big money, to keep him on a permanent, because Dani Ceballos is a beast. He can run that midfield, and he's going to be a huge replacement for Aaron Ramsey. I think Arsenal are going to miss him a lot, and since Dani Ceballos can do pretty much everything in the midfield, obviously lacks a little bit on defense and shooting wise, but he can get better, and I'm sure with a lot of training and all that, he's going to be an absolute beast. So Dani Ceballos, David Luiz, Kieran Tierney, that's pretty good business for us. Now obviously this video is going on for a bit, and I've pretty much gone over the main players that I want to sort of talk about, but obviously Leicester are making pretty good business once again. They've got Perez for 21 million. I think he's going to run the midfield a lot for Leicester City. I think Leicester City I didn't rate highly enough. I think I underestimated them a little bit, and I am sorry for any of you returning subscribers that watched my ladder predictions. I genuinely do believe now, watching Leicester play over the last couple of weeks, that I think Leicester will finish a lot higher than what I did put them at. I think they're a wavy team, and I just completely forgot the type of players that they've got there. Ryan Sessegnon has also signed for Tottenham as well, 27 million. I really don't know what Sessegnon can bring to Spurs. Like, he can play left back as well, especially if Danny Rose gets injured, because we all know he can get injured and then all of a sudden he can play really shit as well. But I don't know what he does bring, honestly. He had a pretty poor season for Fulham. Obviously he's got a lot of potential as well, but I don't really know why Tottenham did sign him, but who knows, I could be shut down very, very soon. Another player who also moved to Everton is Alex Iwobi, 30 million. I think he's fucking ridiculous. Buying Alex Iwobi for 30 million and letting Lookman go is unreal. I think Lookman is definitely a better player than Iwobi. I know Iwobi's got a lot of experience in the Premier League, but the boy can't shoot. Like, he scored that crazy goal against Chelsea in the Europa League final, but I've barely seen him ever finish the ball like that, on a consistent basis. Obviously he's a really good dribbler and a decent passer and is relatively fast, but he lacks on, physicality, and obviously lacks, shooting the ball. So I don't know what Everton are thinking, especially when they need goals, and I don't think, they're going to get goals from Alex Iwobi, but who knows there. And then also Everton did sign Gimbarbin. I'm really bad at pronouncing this fella's name, but this guy is an absolute beast. He's going to replace Idrissa Gana Gueye. I think he's going to leave a bit of a hole, but as long as I don't know, I'm just going to leave that. But he's an absolute beast. He's a strong, physical midfielder, obviously from the Ivory Coast. He's an absolute beast in the midfield. I really hope he does do really well for Everton. Obviously 25 million euros, you cannot go wrong there at all. And then also Newcastle did sign Saint Maximum as well, obviously another young talent for 18 million euros. Obviously also known as the Gucci headband guy, which is quite funny. Obviously coming from League One as well. I'm really not sure what he does bring too much, because he didn't score too many goals last season. I think he scored 6 goals and 5 assists. But who knows, young talents, we all know what French young players are like, so who knows. But, like I said before, Newcastle aren't playing great football, so hopefully him and Joelinton can sort of get something together there and hopefully carry the team. Wolves have also signed Catrone for 18 million euros, which I think is really, really good business. We know what Catrone can bring. Obviously, over the last couple of seasons, has sort of been pushed out a little bit, hasn't scored too many goals, especially since Piatek joined Milan. His spot was never really going to come back. So Patrick Catrone, I really hope he does do really well for Wolves. He's going to probably play up top with Jimenez, and if it gets going, boy oh boy, there could be a lot of goals at stake. But Catrone, a really good signing for Wolves there as well. And then moving over to the final slide, and it is the loan to buys from last season. So we've got Yuri Tielemans, who is an absolute beast midfielder. Manchester United fans have been really disappointed with the fact that they couldn't seal their man. But 45 million, boy oh boy, Leicester did splash the cash, and he is an absolute beast of a player. I know he's not the quickest player, but boy, he can shoot, he can pass, he can dribble, he can defend. He's got that decent physicality to him. He's definitely an English Premier League midfielder, so I don't think Leicester has gone wrong there whatsoever. Chelsea also bought Kovacic as well for 45 million. A lot of people are thinking, how did they sign him? But obviously he had that loan to buy in his contract. I think Chelsea are really going to need Kovacic this season, even though Chelsea do have a lot of midfielders, but he was key last season. He's an amazing midfielder. He's got that sort of Eden Hazard ability on the ball. Obviously can't shoot the ball nowhere near as good as Eden Hazard. Obviously hasn't even scored a goal for Chelsea, but I think Chelsea really did need to keep Kovacic. I'm really glad that he has stayed at the club. Also, Jimenez did sign on a permanent basis from Benfica, 38 million euros as well, for a top striker who probably deserved to be in the team of the season last year, scoring a beast amount of goals, and came up really big as well. And then Andre Gomez must have liked his time in England, even though he was injury prone for most of the season. 25 million euros for a player like that is an absolute bargain, so I really do hope Andre Gomez can get going a little bit better this season. But nonetheless, guys, that pretty much wraps up today's video. I know this one probably went for a little bit longer than I did expect, but I thought I'd go into a little bit more detail on how I think the players will go, and what sort of attributes and abilities they bring to each team. But I will be doing another video in the next couple of weeks to wrap up the rest of the top 4 big leagues in Europe, like your Serie A, your Bundesliga, your La Liga and League One. Also probably throw in a few other players who probably departed to China, hashtag Marco Arnautovic. But anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, please just give it a big like. I just love that like button. But yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.